What's up, meta nerds? This video is all about the Sandcrawler. They were manufactured by Corellia Mining Corporation, and an armada of them descended upon Tatooine thousands of years before the Battle of Yavin. Probe droids had discovered that Tatooine contained a lot of valuable minerals, and would make an excellent place to start up a mining operation. These vehicles were intended to haul around tons of precious ore, but as hopeful mining colonies popped up all across Tatooine, it quickly became apparent that the quality of this ore wasn't very good. A bunch of different types of valuable metals were corroding at unprecedented speeds, and combine this with the frequent attacks from Tusken raiders, and the hostile climate which at best contained blistering heat, and at worst had violent and deadly sandstorms. All of these factors led Corellia Mining Corporation to give up on their Tatooine colony, repeating the mistake of the Circa Corporation, who thousands of years before experienced similar hardships when they tried to mine Tatooine, and decided to leave behind their multi-environment track transport. These abandoned sandcrawlers would not stay empty for long, however, as the local Jawa population took interest in them. Many Jawa clans quickly moved into them, while others were captured by Tusken raiders first, who decided to sell off these big, cumbersome vehicles to the much more interested Jawas. An entire Jawa clan could live inside of a sandcrawler. Because of the height of 20 meters, this thing was about a Wookiee shorter than an AT-AT, and at 40 meters, or 131 feet long, it was about 4 Jawas longer than an MTT. This voluminous interior left plenty of space for several hundred Jawas, while still being able to collect tons of scrap and droids. We can see that it rode around on this heavy-duty tread assembly, which were basically like supersized tank treads, and there were actually 8 of these tread assemblies that could each roll over obstacles independently, making it so the Sandcrawler could slowly but surely navigate difficult terrain. On the side, we see the lower inspection hatch, which could extend out a stairway to meet prospective buyers. Right next to this was a magnetic suction tube, which allowed Jawas to capture droids without having to get out of the vehicle. The main access hatch was up here, and the enormous retractable front hatch could be opened up when the Jawas wanted to capture extremely large valuables. This was a loading dock hatch up here on the side, and towards the rear, we see the power plant and the power converters. The control cabin windows up front is where the Jawa crew would pilot this vehicle, but it also served as a sort of throne room, as the head of the Jawa clan would reside here and issue out proclamations for his people. This sat on top of the navigation and tracking room, which would process data from its vast array of sensors. The whole thing was covered in thick plate armor, which was said to protect the Jawas from everything from Tusken raider attacks, sandstorms, and even crate dragons. The whole thing was designed in such a way that even though you had this wide surface area for the sandstorm to push against, a lot of weight was concentrated on the bottom, making it impossible for storms to push this thing over. To make it even better, it also incorporated electrostatic repellers, which helped to reduce the amount of sand and grit that got inside of these treads. What's really cool is that if we take a peek inside of the Sandcrawler, we can see how all the droids were processed and turned into ore of raw material. Jawa would often sell refined ingots of different type of materials. This could be obtained either by finding raw ore, using these drill grinders and ore crushers, and then melting them down by using the intense heat generated from its massive reactors. As you see here, the refined metals would be extruded while in this hot liquid form. The Jawas repurposed areas that were used for storage of ore and turned them into droid prisons for machines that were still active and might protest being split up into their component parts. If the droids were deemed good enough to sell, they were set aside. But if not, they would be torn apart and piled up according to their different metals and passed through the ore refinery to turn them into solid ingots. As you see here, because of the enormous size of the Sandcrawler, they were taking out metals from everything as small as a mouse droid to large turbine engines and even escape pods. These ingots and droids would be occasionally brought into town and traded or sold for goods that the Jawa clan needed to survive. Well, that's it for the Jawa Sandcrawler, but you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind the scenes stuff. They only built the bottom portion of the Sandcrawler for those close-up scenes during Episode 4, A New Hope. But George Lucas got into some problems while filming these scenes, because though located in Tunisia, it was close enough to the Libyan border that their government was worried that this might be signs of an impending attack from Tunisia, and the Libyans actually contacted them with threats to remove this new experimental vehicle at risk of them mobilizing their military towards the border. The models used for some scenes had engines that were supposed to be used for scale model Tiger tanks, and these were said to be so powerful that the Sandcrawler could actually pop a wheelie, even though they were intended to just slowly lumber their way across the desert. And as you can see here, the idea of the Sandcrawler came from Ralph McQuarrie's concept art, and George Lucas wanted it to take inspiration from the treads of NASA's space rocket carrier. So that's it for the Sandcrawler. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to check out our social media, or ways that you can help support this channel, be sure to check out the description down below. If you want to see more, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you get notifications. But more important than all that, remember, Houdini! and the Force will be with you, always.